Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing one.
Who you sending a live video to?
3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Who this live video going to?
No, I'm trying to set it up.
For who?
I'm trying to work it. Trying to get familiar with all my equipment. Countdown.
Go downstairs and bring me that jar of peaches up here. I mean that thing of peaches.
Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. This podcast is about you can't make this shit up. Now, first, I was going to talk about how on Twitter they said Barack Obama was the worst president in U.S. history. And I said, no, there were other presidents that were worse. President that owned human beings as slaves, like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, so on. And if you own a human being, men, women, children, and infants, you can't get no more worse than that. Can't get worse than that. Then you have presidents that use the White House as an old boys club. Shout out Warren G. Hardy. Shout out to Warren G. Hardy. He used the White House as an old boys club. They were saying Barack Obama is the worst president in U.S. history. That's not true. That is not true. Because you had presidents who owned slaves. Presidents like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was having sex with little girls. 14-year-old little girl. Sally Hemings, 14-year-old. Thomas Jefferson had sex with her. And had children by her. And kept his own children as slaves. You can't get no more worse than that. So this is the fallacy we're in. This is the age of rewriting history as we know it to say that, well, they're saying that the first black president was the worst president in history when you had white men who owned human beings as slaves. That's not worse. And what Warren G. Hardy did when he was president, used it as an old boys club, drinking and gambling, you know, that's not worse. And what Richard M. Nixon did when he was in the White House and organizing break ins at the Watergate building for the upcoming re-election campaign, that wasn't worse. I mean, these people were committing crimes. JFK was committing crimes, having world leaders around the world assassinated until the chickens came home to roost for him and he was assassinated. Now, let's get into some other things. Other things like shit you can't make up. The shit that's happening right now with these so-called gangsters snitching on each other. Where is the code of the street? What has happened to the code of the street? What has happened to it? Where's it going? Was there ever any real code? Was there ever any real code? Or is it just a group of dusty dudes, males and females, committing crimes with no code of ethics? Or maybe there were codes, but right now there are no codes, no honor among thieves. Like this the situation going on with over in Los Angeles with Big U. Oh, like some would say, big useless. Now, this guy has been running around extorting people, robbing, killing, stealing, and whenever black entertainers want to come, well, black rappers, entertainers, want to go visit out in that part of the country over there on the West Coast, he telling them they gotta check in. You better check in. Now this nigga gotta check in with the feds. That nigga gotta check in with the feds. Is this nigga serious? He can't even afford a lawyer right now. I heard he's using a public defender. It's according to Carcino, he's using a public defender. Where after all that money he was getting from the check-ins? Huh? All the money he was extorting. 50 G's here, 40 G's there. What the? Come on, man. What the hell? Huh? What is going on here, man? People. Ah, man, the black community. What is going on with these dusty dudes in it? I mean, FBA community, we're a great community. We're resilient. We're respectful. We dominate in every field we enter. But then you got these dusty dudes out here doing dusty things with the money they get. But all that money he was getting, why didn't he go into legitimate business with it? And why would you go on public platforms and talk about the criminal things you did? You don't do that. And then your family members are talking about it. Then your associates is talking about it. Come on, y'all. Let's stop. This is ridiculous. Can I? Hey, thank you. I mean, this is shit you can't make up. You cannot make this shit up. This shit cannot be made up. This is just, I don't know. It, it's mind boggling at best. The, the wasting of funds, whether you get them legally or illegally, being wasted. You're not doing you're not doing nothing with them constructive. You know, that's why when you look at them old mafia movies like The Godfather, from 1 to 3, he went into legitimate businesses. That's all he was trying to do. He was just trying to go legitimate in legitimate businesses. You know, wasn't going. They didn't want to spend their whole life in the underworld doing gangster shit. You know, once you got to Godfather 3, he hooked up with the Vatican Church and Mobiliari and all that, but he was trying to go legit, but they turned out to be more crooked than them, and you see how all that turned out. But the idea is to go legit, you know, like the Kennedys did. The Kennedys, Joseph Kennedy started out as a bootlegger, and he used to make stag films. What they call stag back then, pornography. He made X-rated films. He made his living off of that, off of bootleg liquor and pornography. And then he moved up legitimate things. He became an ambassador. Then he had his kids going fighting the wars. You know, world wars and stuff. And one kid died in the war. The oldest son, Joseph, died. And then John F. Kennedy joined the Navy, became a Navy war hero, and then he ran for president, became president of the United States, first Irish Catholic president of the United States. But all that was built off of underworld money. You know? All right. It, you know, stuff like that, in the world, then you, like, take for instance, Malcolm X. Malcolm X was in the underworld, you know. He was running numbers, you know. I think he was running dope, robbing banks. They say he was pimp, you know. It's an underworld. Commit burglaries and all that stuff, with white women. We was sleeping with white women, committing burglaries with them and everything. Went to prison. Got introduced to Nation of Islam members in there, and they cleaned him up, educated him. He got out, you know, went to the Nation of Islam, and he really put himself 100% into that ideology and everything, and because it helped clean him up. You know, he was on drugs and everything like that. He became the most shining example of the human spirit, the redemption of the human spirit, and how it can just manifest into, I mean, just all encompassing brilliance. And he tried to clean up other drug addicts and people that were afflicted with problems in this society. He's the greatest example of helping out in the community and doing all that stuff that so-called Big U said he was doing over there in California, and you know, still doing the dusty nigga shit. But you know, that's the way. Which that's the way the cookie crumbles, and this is probably why Big U has to check in with the feds now. Talking all that. When you come on out here, you gotta check in. Well, nigga, now you gotta check in with the feds right now. And then you in that cell now. You gotta check in the morning when you get up. Make sure your ass still in there. Then you gotta check in when you get in that line to go eat breakfast. Come back to your cell. Then get up again and check in for lunch. Then take your ass back and then check in again for dinner. Then take your ass back. Then you gotta check in when lights is out and it's time to go to bed. They cut them lights out. Your ass gotta check in. You know? That's all you doing now is checking in. They say Big U has something to do with Nipsey Hussle's demise, allegedly. You know, it's it'll all come out in the wash anyway. And the feds, they know this already, and they hold this over your heads. You know, but it's just, you know, it is what it is. Everybody, you know, but this is shit you just can't make up. You can't make this shit up. This shit happens in real life in real time. Most of the shit that goes on, people do. You, you, if you make it up, you can't make it up. If you try to make it up, you're gonna miss something. But see, real life reality is different. It can be a beast. I mean, you, it can be a beast. Some of the things people do in real life It's like, wow, you can't make this up. You can't make this shit up. His big huge sister is snitching on him. All his associates is snitching on him. He said that the rival member from the Pyru Whack 100 snitched on him. I mean, damn. You can't make this shit up. You see, in The Godfather, his sister didn't snitch on him. Even though he killed her husband, she still didn't snitch on him. But real life, Big U's sister snitches on him. You can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. You cannot make this shit up. It's amazing that you cannot make it up. I mean, to suggest that the worst that we've seen when it comes to President of the United States is Barack Obama. And I'm no fan of Barack Obama. As far as I'm concerned, Barack Obama is just a musty ass tether. You know, they didn't want to do anything for FBAs. So, Barack Obama, he wasn't shit. But he wasn't the worst shit. I ran down the worst shit. At least he didn't sully that White House that was built by the hands of slaves, like Warren G. Hardy did with drinking and gambling, and or like JFK did, screwing his secretaries in the White House, you know, or like what Bill Clinton did, getting his wiener sucked in the White House, you know. They sullied that place, that sacred place built by the hands of slaves. They sullied it, you know. But you can't make this shit up. I mean, the things that these people have done in that place, in the name of that place, in the name of this country, it's diabolical, ruthless, it's disingenuous. And it's just, you can't make it up. With that, here you go. You can't make it up. You cannot make it up.